could actually stop the impact. But armor like chainmail was designed to block slashing swords, and plate armor was even better at deflecting strikes by spreading the blunt force across more area, lessening its impact. But these materials weren't very good at stopping arrows, which had enough energy to enter the armor, so a bullet would have no trouble going right through. Have you ever wondered about this little dangly thing at the back of your throat? Well, even though it looks like a miniature punching bag, it actually serves a handful of important functions. You see, when you swallow food, this thing called a uvula actually swings backwards to prevent the food from going up your nose. It's also constantly producing saliva to keep the throat moist, which aids in swallowing. And because there's a tiny muscle inside the uvula, it can move around, which helps you speak. The army ant is placed on the wound and positioned so its jaws clamp tightly on the edges, securing them together. Then the ant's body is twisted off, leaving its head and mandibles in place, which acts as a stitch. More are added depending on the size of the wound, and these ant stitches are left in the skin until the edges of the wound stay closed on their own. When you swallow food, it's supposed to go down your esophagus, which leads to your stomach. But there's this different route that leads to your lungs called the trachea, and the trachea sits right next to your esophagus. Now, when you swallow, the fleshy parts in your throat move over the trachea, so the food won't go down it. But sometimes, if you eat too fast, the fleshy parts of your throat don't do their job, and the food goes down your trachea, also known as the wrong pipe. When Pinocchio lies, his nose grows. So what would happen if he said, "My nose is about to grow"? If it did not grow, then that would mean he was lying, which would cause his nose to grow. But his nose growing would then indicate that he was not lying, which means his nose should have never grown. What do you think would happen? A butterfly's tongue is as thin as a strand of hair and hollow like a tiny straw, and it could be threaded through the eye of a needle. Now, if you took a hippo's tongue and dropped it onto a microwave, it would cover the entire surface. But the blue whale's tongue is so massive that if you plopped it onto a car, the 5-ton muscle would crush the metal completely, flattening it like a pancake. They put the statue in the scanner and discovered there was a skeleton inside. You see, a monk had starved himself to death while meditating, and his body was then mummified.